Hello and welcome to the midway point of the iRacing 2025 Season 4. Gonna kind of work through the couple weeks of racing. I did end up running some more dirt oval stuff through the end of that weekend. I actually ran two races immediately, or was it only one? Only one. I ran one race Friday night of week 3 and then a couple Sunday, about midday, I believe. I honestly don't remember what I was doing that week, like why I was available that weekend in particular, but we'll get to that shortly. So, clicked off another race in Knoxville in the 360 sprint car, finished second to Lewis Knight. Going to imagine this was probably just, I started at the back and I qualified like absolute butt. I think I remember this one because I lifted in both sets of corners, which is slow. So that resulted in me having to charge through the field. I was hunting down Lewis coming into the race, but not enough to make it to him. That Sunday, I ran limited lates at Bristol. I think I got hip checked at some point here and shot backwards. I don't remember by who necessarily, but I remember being spun on the last lap by some guy just sending it way too deep and plowing his car into me, and I shot down the track. So that's dirt limited lates during week 3. And then if we move to the subsequent race, last race that week, in week number 3, I ended up winning over Justin Henderson after taking the pole. Just ripped the outside, held onto it, pipped him out at the line. So that's Bristol down in the dirt limited late model. I believe that's like my third or fourth late model win, and they're all from this season. So let's see, one, two. I guess it's only 3 in total, but we'll get to the last one of them this bit in a bit here. But yeah, dirt Bristol I almost want to think is better than concrete Bristol. I haven't driven concrete Bristol in a race on iRacing, but well, I guess I did week 13 on official PCC, but that doesn't really count in my opinion. But dirt Bristol's good fun. I mean, it's basically just hold the foot to the floor, rip the high side. I guess you could probably run the bottom. It seemed like there was at least multiple lanes that worked, which was nice to see, especially given how the limited late is, with being a bit of a packed up nightmare. Being that it is foot to the floor. Week 4, we ran Legends Road Cup at Bathurst. The first race, that's not an official. This one is. Terry Nightingale Jr., if you've seen him anywhere, he's probably running Bathurst week in and week out. He was fast as all get out. I had nothing for him. I had a race with Hector Aguiar here. He ended up pipping me out late in the going, but it's kind of the nature of these Legends races. You just got to have your car in the right spot at the right time come the end of the race, and I finished third in this one. No harm, no foul. Ran another one immediately following that. The next race had a good battle with, I believe, Leopold Schreivel. He got loose coming down Forrest's elbow on the last lap and spun it, and I managed to pip by him, or squeak by him on the inside of the track, drive down the hill, and claim victory. It might have been coming to 2 to go. I don't remember if I had to run a full lap after that, but yeah, it was a hard fought race between me and him. Picked up the win at Bathurst, so that's the first one at Bathurst, first win of week 4. I figured Bathurst was gonna be a tricky one just because of it's somewhat popular and it's obviously a very difficult track to get around. But I figured the Legends car would probably be a good opportunity for it, and sure enough, it was, and we closed it out. I ran a 305 sprint car race at Charlotte that same night and won that one as well. Me and Alec Correa had a good battle. Brian Hughes was in it for a while as well. I passed both of them fairly early in the going and just ran the outside on Correa for the bulk of the race and was able to keep the momentum up enough to peep out another win here. So that's I believe the second win in the 305 this season. No, it's the first one. I'm on I'm I'm on a very little amount of sleep so far today. So, but 305 at Charlotte Dirt. That's the second win of week 4. It puts us up to then, I believe that's 11 tracks so far. I ran a bunch of practice laps between GT3 at Jerez, BMW M Power at Mexico City, F3 at the Bend. Did some Dirt Legends practice at Lernerville to try to dial in a set for that. Super Formula at Fuji, GTE at Le Mans, Renault Clio at Cadwell, GT3 at the Bend, 296 at Mexico City. Did a 358 modified race at Knoxville, finished 4th. I do not like the 358 at all. I've just got absolutely no pace in this thing, so definitely a car I'm gonna have to learn a good bit. I seem to remember making contact. I think there was a number of cars spun out in turns 1 and 2 here, and I ended up like jumping the berm or something. It was a mess, just a big old ugly mess. Oh no, that was the race where I believe someone turned around and drove backwards. Where is that? Yeah, I think Brent Pryor turned around and went backwards. He like turned right into the field, and I had to dodge that and jump the berm. That's what happened. Dirt Legends at Lernerville, 6-car field. I was on the pole. I don't remember what the pole time was by me, but 17.915. But I led lights to flag from this one. Starting from the pole, picked up a win at Lernerville. This is the last one of week number 4, putting us up to, I believe that's 12 tracks on the season. Goal for the season was 13. The fact that we were at 12 by week 4 was pretty telling as to that we were going to pretty easily overachieve that, assuming things went half decent the rest of the season, and sure enough they have. So it's been good. Lernerville, this one was fun. The Legends car is just an interesting one on dirt, because if you can get the car underneath you and it's a lot of momentum. It's very momentum based, and the car is loose through the corners, unlike maybe like a 305 or a limited late, where you just feel super gripped up. So I can imagine that's part of the reason why the Dirt Legends isn't wildly popular. But ran another 358 at Knoxville, finished second to Joey Decker. I couldn't tell you what happened in this one. I think I just dodged a bunch of crashes, and that's how I made my way through the field. Another one, I think I got crashed in this one. Yeah, that would explain this. I don't know. Knoxville just seems like a track that brings out the worst of dirt, and the 358 seems roughly the same, in my opinion, or my experience, rather. Just tough stuff. Did another one. Joey Decker won that one. I just didn't have any. Yeah, likewise, I probably just got beat up. I think I've been beat up so many times on the dirt this season, so... another one, finished 4th in this one, just no pace, no case. I hang out. Probably got bumped around a bit, but such is life. Did Ferrari 296 challenge during week 5 at the Bend. I picked up the win here. This race was a mess. The leader overshot turn 1. Rampling, he overshot turn 1, and then I overshot some of the double right. I went off track there, so then Andrew took the lead, and then he overshot the left-hander at like the midway point of the lap, and then I inherited the lead, and then like with one or like 2 or 3 laps to go, I nearly spun it on a curb. This track's tough. This car and this track together is tough, so I was glad to kind of tick this one out, because I'm not sure how long the Bend will be making heavy rotations. So it was fun to learn this one, though. I think it's a solid track. The international circuit here at the Bend is a good bit of fun. I consider it to be a fairly suitable road course for a good bulk of the cars on iRacing. And Yeah, so that's 296. It's the second win for me in the 296, both coming this season. And then the first win for me at the Bend. Ran pro late models at Lincoln. That didn't go official. USF at Sonoma did, though. Jarrett Corey, once again, put on a masterclass from the pole. Led lights to flag. I had nothing for him. I just hung out and did what I could. But he was much, much faster than I was. And not much I could do there. Ran a random Legends Road Cup race at Red Bull Ring National for the heck of it. I won by a country mile, as you can see here. Gilmore was the only thing that would have had anything competition-wise for me, and I just walked away from him because I think he hopped some curbs and got loose and started sliding around behind me and couldn't keep the draft, so that's all you got to do in those. Did Indy Next at Portland. I got to watch Thomas Schrag and Matt Caruana battle for the lead. And then Real World Indy Next driver Nolan Aller finished third in this one. I watched him and Lewis Tolan fight each other for the third and fourth spot ahead of me, and I just stayed in the tow with them and did what I could to try to maybe gain a position or two should a mistake happen ahead of me. And I guess fortunately there were no mistakes ahead, but a top 5 finish against some solid competition, and the next cars at Portland was a good bit of fun, and we'll hopefully keep getting more of those races throughout the season. I haven't run a next race since this one, but I've enjoyed it, the opportunities I've gotten to head out there in the new IL-15. I did another USF at Sonoma. Me and Alex Miller turned out. He kept me honest here, all things considered, but lights to flag from the pole, pretty typical for most of my wins. But that's Sonoma ticked off. So that's, I believe, track 14 on the season so far. Can't really complain. Sonoma's a fairly unpopular one. I think we had a total of 15 drivers all week for USF at Sonoma. I think this week at Zandvoort we've had maybe a dozen. I'd have to look at the number exactly, but it's been very, very tough this season getting races in the USF. It's the last race I ran in week 5, so very brief, short week there, only 5 races total, but we're pretty busy with broadcasting for all the next coverage with the Pro Series qualifiers going on. 305s in Knoxville. I got wrecked in this one too. I don't remember who would have hit me, but I think I just got obliterated in this one. So that's the first attempt I made at Knoxville during week 6. I think I made a total of 10, and we'll get to the rest of those pretty quick here. Limited lates at Lincoln. I got junked here as well. Will Hanger, you're getting the name and shame here. I got into the back of him, like basically completely out of the throttle in turns 1 and 2, and he decided he needed to try to intent wreck me 3 times throughout the rest of the race, and eventually he got me and killed my car. And his iRating shows everything you need to know about him. 8,500 on dirt oval, and then like basically in the dumpster on oval. These guys just think they can get away with it, and it's disappointing to see that there's guys who could very, very easily just outskill people driving very aggressively and defensively. I wasn't the only one he got into it with in this race, and me and Clayton both got basically hosed by Hanger deciding his ego was too big to lose that race. So ended up running another one later on, the next race immediately following that one. I went out and won over Jake Soley. This race was just a slop fest with lap cars all over the place and having to navigate that. I got Lincoln out of the way here. It can pound sand. This track's just okay. I think having multiple lanes is nice. I think having a fendered car on it works, but I would hate to try to drive this in the winged or like the open wheel stuff. Ran USF at Zandvoort, had a great battle with Alex Miller for the 3rd spot. Ultimately, me and him were way too slow to keep up with Jarrett and Bruno. Bruno was hanging on to Jarrett for the good portion of the opening portion of the race, but ultimately no dice. But Jarrett's showing what Jarrett does best, and that's go fast. So shout out to him. Ran a Legends Road Cup race at Daytona Short. Barely pipped out Ricky Springer at the line. Was on the inside coming to the line and managed to hold out for that. I locked up into Keith Nelson at some point and spun him around. Do want to apologize again for that if anybody manages to get this to his desk, if you will. But this combo was fun. It's a pack race. I mean, it's two hairpins tied together with some sizable straightaways, more or less. So just got to put your car in the right position and carry just enough momentum to keep the cars from being able to make passes on you. Unfortunately, I was able to get all alongside Springer coming out of the second horseshoe and then just kind of out drag him to the line. We made some contact coming off the like slight left in the middle of the transition there. But it was fun. I think this is a good choice for Legends Road Cup, all things considered. Participation looks solid. I haven't looked at how things have gone the rest of the week, but I'm sure I'll be able to compare it to the rest of the season. Come the end of this week, so we're still navigating week 6 here. I believe this is attempt number 2 at 305s at Knoxville. Ricky Jones won this one. I just hung out. Started 4th, stayed 4th. It was a race. It happened. Another one. These are all going to blur together because I ran so many of them, but I want to say me and Aaron Christians made some contact at some point. Maybe not. I don't know. Somebody got into me at some point. Maybe it's one of these guys back here, but yeah. 305s at Knoxville is interesting to say the least. It's foot to the floor, just hoping that your line choice works out and that you can start gapping cars and making some progress. You see, I did a bit of practice of Legends at the Bull Ring and Super Lates at Smyrna and SRX at LA. I was just trying to get tracks that I haven't driven on knocked out for that achievement as well. Just figured why not. I've only got a handful of those left. I want to say I've got maybe 4 now. Doesn't really matter. Another race where I got junked in the 305 at Knoxville. I mean, what else is there to say? It's 305s at Knoxville. That's kind of just what happens here, I guess. It's attempt 3, attempt 4. Finished 2nd after starting 3rd. I had nothing for Garen in this one. The whole shot's just worth too much. And if you can maximize the whole shot, nobody can catch you. So I was battling with Morgan Dowdy for the bulk of the race. He tried everything to do. Tried to pass me on the inside. Couldn't make anything of it, but 2nd place there. This one, I remember lifting in 3 and 4, getting punted and having to save the car. I was fortunate to even finish 2nd in this one. Michael Junk came from the back, stormed through the field, passed everybody. I mean, shout out to him. He clearly knows what he's doing better than I do. So another thing in Knoxville. Another Knoxville race. Jesse Dacus came and handed it to me. I started 5th, worked my way past a couple cars, made it up to 2nd, just held on to it, hung out. It's 305s at Knoxville, foot to the floor, hope your line sticks. Tried to get a race of USF at Zandvoort again. That ultimately didn't go to official. It was like 5 cars, I think. Another Knoxville attempt, finished 3rd. Completely unnoteworthy at all. Start 3rd, run 3rd, hang out. This race, I don't even really want to talk about it. Pretty much everybody in this race should be protested and reported for either throwing heinous blocks or violating the start procedure. Launching and brake checking people on the start is not exactly something I expect out of people. But obviously I have a lot of work to do here at Zandvoort because I'm slow, very slow. I'm like a 2nd off. It's even more than like my slow tracks tend to be. It's like considerably off. But I also haven't driven Zandvoort in any other sim. And I had practiced maybe like an hour or so, try to get to grips with the track. I'd be curious to see if I put in a bit more time into it, if I'd been able to figure it out. But unfortunately, this week has been a bit of a struggle for USF at Zandvoort. So we'll take our couple podium finishes and move on to the next week. We'll be taking on Alden Park Island. Attempt 9. I got crashed. Plain and simple. Matthew Reed threw a slider on me and just gave me no room and decided that I needed to crash instead of actually race me. And then the last race I ran was 305s in Knoxville, like the session immediately after that one, I'm sure. Yeah, 1 in the morning uh, on Thursday of this week. Picked up the win over Dan Kornetsky, who I thought for sure once he caught me was going to be able to throw a slide on me and pass me, but he opted not to put it in the harm's way there. So I was able to hold on the outside and pick up my win at Knoxville finally. Yeah, not much to say about it otherwise. So this last 3 weeks we've picked up 8 wins. So well, I guess if you count the end of week 3. So if we don't count the end of week 3, it's been 7, which includes 4 dirt tracks and 3 road courses. Leaves me with only a handful of tracks left to go in terms of the dirt stuff, which I'll kind of show off here in a second once I get my spreadsheet and whatnot up here. But so in terms of tracks remaining, we've got 5 dirt ovals left: Fairbury, I-55, Lucas Oil, Port Royal, and Wheat Sport. Funny that some of the 2 of those are, I believe they're both oil manufacturers in terms of the sponsorship. I haven't touched any of the actual ovals in terms of trying to win races on them, but I've driven on a number of new ones, so we saw that through some of the practice I had been doing. Road courses were down to, I believe, 23. 23, yeah. 3 of which I've actually participated in race sessions in, and I guess Zandvoort would now be 4. The rest of these have all not been touched in races at all. They've only been practice on if I've driven on them that I can recall. Yeah, that'd be the case. And then if we head on over to our results tab that I kind of alluded to previously, not much has changed here. Obviously, we've got my 3rd place finish at Zandvoort and USF, that Portland race I did. I might try to get a race at the Red Bull Ring tomorrow, but I'm not really planning on it explicitly. Legends Road Cup at Daytona, you'll see there, that's a win there. So 4 wins on the season in terms of best weeks for Legends Road Cup. We're going to Winton next week. That should be a good change of pace. I managed to win there in the V last season, so I'm curious to get more laps in at Winton. Other than that, not a whole lot in terms of what's going on immediately the coming weeks. If we go here, next week, I believe 305s are at Fairbury. So that's going to be the big focus of next week. Otherwise, I might try to run like Super Formula at Donington as I have listed here. Otherwise, there's not really anything else going on. That's going to be easy for me. That's new anyway. Week 8, we'll see F4 at Sandown, the M2 and Ferrari 296 at Thruxton, MX5s at Hungaroring, Clios at Aragon, Radicals at Hockenheim, Supercars at Le Mans, Lotus 79 at Jerez, Rallycross Opens at Catalunya, and then more dirt oval stuff, which I think, yeah, it's like prolates at Port Royal. So we'll see. That's the only series that's left running Port Royal the rest of the go here, so we'll see if I can get around to that. Otherwise, I'm not too irked if I don't manage to clear out all the dirt ovals this season. I just figure the more of them that I can get out of here, the better. As you can see, week 9 will be 305s and UMPs at I-55, and then you've got dirt legends at Lucas Oil during week 10, along with 360s at Weed Sport and prolates at Lucas Oil. And then just Weed Sport the last couple weeks. So still some opportunities to clear out some of the tracks I've got left. I'm hoping to at least clear out a couple more of the dirt ovals before the season end here. I think if I could get to grips with 305 on a couple tracks, which I think I can do fairly easily. It's a fairly easy car to figure out more or less. But and then aside from that, week 9, F4's at Aragon, F3's at Donington, Spec Racer Ford at Imola, GT4 and LMP3 at Hungaroring, Global Challenges at Le Mans, GT3 Asia's at Sandown during week 10. You know, I'm not gonna get to too late in the season because at that point I think that there's a lot more going on, especially in terms of tracks that are only seeing like a single use this season, like a Misano or a Willow Springs got I think used elsewhere throughout the season, but like Zolder, I think these are the only two series running Zolder all season, so that's that one there. You know, you've got more shots at Le Mans, more shots at Hockenheim. Nothing crazy, but yeah, bit of a rough week. Otherwise, I don't know. Looking forward to ripping some more 305. Hopefully at a track that requires a bit more than just hamming the gas and steering. That's kind of one thing I've determined I'm not a super big fan of is when, especially in the 305, like I feel like that thing should have enough power in it to where that's not the predominant way to drive things. It's not like the micro sprint where like you put that thing high enough up on the track, it'll flat foot anywhere. But yeah, halfway through the season now, kind of surprising, honestly, being able to pick up as many wins as I have. I mean, we've got 16 so far on the season. Was only really expecting to get to 13. That was the reason the goal was set where it was. I think if I could get to 20 or more, that'd be somewhat impressive. I think this season it's been a bit different, just having a lot of other things going on compared to last season in terms of off-track activities and a lot of schedules kind of closing up more and more as more of the tracks start to get ticked off and what have you. So started already looking at schedules for next season, at least what I've been able to find. Looks like for the most part it's going to be by and large the big popular tracks for most series next season, but maybe I'll pivot and just try to run more cars or something. We'll see. Still a lot to think about. Got a long time to think about it as well. Still going to likely stick to this being my last full-time USF season. I think a number of the guys that, like Jarrett and whatnot, have decided that we're just going to run this one out and see what happens, I guess. Next season, the schedule would kind of cater towards winning at some more new tracks for me, but I think that there's going to be better ways to do that in terms of being able to get races and get out there and, you know, put on the show that needs to be put on in those cars. I think that we'd be doing them a disservice if we don't at least try to race them while it's still around in official sessions. So appreciate everybody for watching here if you've tuned in. Probably come back during week 9 to fill in on what's happened from week 7, 8, 9. I have no more plans of running any races this week, aside from maybe that Red Bull Ring run in next, but I'm not super interested in the Red Bull Ring. I've done enough Red Bull Ring, I think, this season. But be back next week for Alton Park, Winton, and Indy across the 3 series you see listed on the screen there. USF, Legends Road Cup, and Indy next. Yeah. Appreciate you watching. Have a good one. Keep going fast, having fun. Hope to catch you on the track.